Hey everyone, today I'm going to be doing a video that's probably long overdue, and I should say the reason I'm doing this is this was something specifically requested by my patrons. About every month we do a live stream, and they were brainstorming ideas of videos they'd like for me to talk about, and today we're going to be talking about one of those, which is doing a video on the Magpul Bad Lever or probably similar items. However, I'll just say right now, the only ones I've ever used are bad levers from Magpul. So, I've heard a lot of people say, speaking in favor of bad levers. I've heard a lot of people speaking against bad levers. So let me go ahead and just start really quick by explaining what it is, just in case you are one of my subscribers or something, and you're coming across this video and you don't know what it is, or just, I guess, to give you my understanding of what they are. So essentially, with an AR-15, you have extremely good ergonomics. As the American style is, we like to have our firing hand on the fire control group the entire time, maintaining a firing grip, and then you use your support hand to maneuver all the manipulations and such. Where that really becomes an issue is locking the bolt open on a standard mil-spec AR-15. So normally, what you have to do is break your grip, use your support hand to depress the bolt catch, and then pull the charging handle to the rear to lock open your magazine. Now, that's the way people have done it for a very long time. It's not an issue. However, it's, I think, acceptable to say it is not the most ergonomic way of manipulating a firearm. Especially since if you're going to have to do that, it's probably going to be under stress, and it's going to be a situation that you want to clear very, very quickly in order to get your firearm back in the fight. The other alternative use for that bolt catch is if you've shot your last round of your magazine and your bolt locks back and you insert a new magazine, a lot of people will tell you use your support hand thumb to depress that bolt catch to send your bolt home. Or, they'll tell you to run the charging handle, etc. Again, definitely doable, not as bad as the bolt locking open, but, leave some room for improvement, some would say. So where does the Magpul Bad Lever come in? So, what it allows you to do, it's basically a little bar that goes down from your bolt catch around through the trigger guard and then comes out on the right side of the firearm for right-handed people to use with their index finger. I've even heard of people who are left-handed enjoying these because they can do most of their manipulations, especially locking the bolt open, just using their index finger, where they can depress right here and lock it open. So it kind of works both left-handed or right-handed, just depending on how you use it. So what this little bar being here allows you to do is, without moving my hand from a firing grip, I can press up on that bar and lock the bolt open. So I can use my support hand to do the manipulations outside of the fire control group, and then use my dominant hand to stay in the firing grip and be ready to go back into action without having to move my hand around a bunch of different places. Again, the other place that comes in handy is when you are inserting a new magazine with your bolt locked open. Theoretically, you can push down on this bar and it'll close your bolt. So, what are my thoughts on the Magpul Bad Lever? So I'm going to go ahead and, obviously, considering I have it attached to my little 11.5-inch SBR here, I also have it on my 16-inch BCM rifle. That probably is an indicator that I actually really like the Bad Lever and what it provides to me. Now, that being said, I also don't use the Magpul Bad Lever the way a lot of people use the Magpul Bad Lever, which is to say, the only time I'm ever using that bad lever is to lock the bolt open. That's the only time I use it. I never use it to drop the bolt. So why is that? Part of the reason that I only use it to lock the bolt open is, again, going back to what I said at the beginning, which is that having to break my firing control grip to press down on the ping pong paddle and then lock the bolt open is not something that's super easy to do, especially if you're prone or in any sort of unconventional shooting position. And again, that's something that can be difficult for people to do under stress if they haven't practiced it a lot. So I am simplifying that, that process greatly by just pressing up on that bar and locking the bolt back. Now, I do not, as I said, use it to close the bolt after an empty mag. Why? Part of it is I've seen it fail a lot. I've known a lot of people who, for whatever reason, on their specific rifle, it doesn't close every single time. And I would prefer to have something that I know is going to work every single time, like pressing on that ping pong paddle. Now, some people are going to say, well, under stress, fine motor skills, blah, blah, blah. I can speak from experience, having taken tons and tons of classes, firing thousands of rounds downrange through AR-15s, that I have no problem either coming up and hitting that ping pong paddle, or if fine motor skills are an issue, coming up, running the charging handle, and getting the firearm back in a battery, and being ready to send more rounds downrange. So that process is not an issue for me, and again, that is the process where I see the Magpul Bad Levers fail when they do fail. Now, one of the other issues people seem to have with them is that they will tend to come off for people. Now, I can't speak to that myself. Actually, I kind of can. The very, very first AR-15 I ever had, I put a Magpul Bad Lever on it, and I think after 500 or 600 rounds probably, I noticed that it was coming loose. The screw was backing itself out, and it was starting to fall off the gun. However, I learned my lesson in that situation, and then on every rifle I've put them on since then, I have used Loctite, a thread locker of some sort, to make sure that stays in place. And I know someone's going to come out and say, well, if you actually use that in a stressful situation or when you get your gun hot, it's going to fall off too. Well, I can say that I have used this specific setup in an American Rifleman class through Spartan Training Concepts, which was 1,000 rounds in 2 days. Actually, it was a little over 1,000 rounds in 2 days. And this Magpul Bad Lever didn't go anywhere. And again, the only time I used it was to lock the bolt open. I did not use it to close the bolt. Well, actually in that class, we were told, run the charging handle every single time. So that's my approach to it, and it's been working well for me, as long as you use thread locker. Now, full disclosure, I went to it was the fighting rifle class through Tactical Response, being hosted by Spartan Training Concepts, and I was there when a bad lever actually fell off of someone's gun who was taking that class. So I have seen it happen. I know it can happen. They did ask the guy if he'd used thread locker. He paused before saying yes. So either A, he could have been 100% honest, and he did indeed use thread locker, and it came off anyway, or he could have realized that he should have used thread locker, didn't want to admit to not using thread locker, and then said yes just to not make himself look bad. I don't know which one is true. I could see it realistically happening both ways. I'm inclined to believe him, but again, from my own personal experience with it, it's not an issue. Now, I have heard some people say it could be a training scar. You could get so used to only manipulating your firearms this way that if now you have to pick up someone else's gun or whatever the situation may be, you won't be able to operate the controls of that new rifle because you'll have all your muscle memory using this to lock the bolt open, or for a lot of people who use this the way I don't, closing your bolt. And that's absolutely true. I do agree that that is a potential to happen and will likely happen for most people who own AR-15s or use bad levers, and that's simply because they don't train very often. Now, I'm not trying to say that I'm an expert. I am far from it. However, what I have intentionally done is set up my go-to, quote-unquote, ARs this way, i.e. my 16-inch BCM and this 11.5-inch BCM with bad levers, so that I can lock the bolt open more easily and be able to manipulate the firearm that way. However, other firearms, all my other, like my AR pistols, my rifle-length ARs, I have intentionally left the bad lever off those simply to make sure that I get some time manipulating the firearm the way it was initially designed. That way I have a little bit of practice both ways, so that if I do find myself in a situation where I have to lock the bolt back, I'm not having to sit and pause and think how to do it. I just naturally know to do it on these rifles because I train with them on a very regular basis, and then when I'm in a situation where I don't have that, I am familiar enough with manipulating a rifle to be able to clear malfunctions and do all that fun stuff. So do I think that the Magpul Bad Lever is a valuable addition to your rifle setup? Yes, I do. However, I personally would recommend only using it to lock the bolt open and not use it to close the bolt. And again, that's simply from my own personal experience, having seen people have issues with it, and the fact that you're really not gaining much ergonomic advantage. You know, specifically when you have an empty magazine, you have the bolt locks back, and you insert your new magazine, your thumb is literally right there to hit that bolt closed anyway. So in my opinion, you're not really gaining that much when it comes to actually closing your bolt. Now, that being said, if that's the way you train and you've run it through classes that way, you've gotten your gun hot that way and it works for you that way, hey, God bless, do whatever you want. This is America. That is well within your rights to do so, unless you live in a state where you have to have a bullet button, in which case it is within your right. Your local government doesn't recognize your right to do that, but that's a topic for another video. Now, I know there are going to be people who disagree with me, and I do think there are some valid criticisms of the Bad Levers and other copycat designs out there that are the battery assist devices, which is what BAD stands for. And again, for some people, they are absolutely correct. However, this works for me. So what I would ask is, if you have one, let me know in the comments. You know, what do you think of it? Have you had it a long time? Have you run it through a class? Did it stay on? And if you have had one that came off, definitely let me know about that as well. Did it just come off after normal firing? Did it come off in a class? Whatever the situation was, just to allow other people reading the comments, as well as myself, to understand the context of what happened, to either make the decision to not have it, or to know how to prevent it from happening to them also. And just in case anyone's curious how this rifle is set up, because this is a short barrel rifle registered through the ATF, which is a fun and lengthy process, I have the Strike Industries PDW stock, just to demonstrate that. It's the one that locks closed. Got caught on my jacket there. So all you got to do is press a little button, pops out, and is ready to rock and roll. Have a review on that. Right now I have the Primary Arms Cyclops 1-power prism sight on here. Liking it a lot so far. Review to come once I get a lot more time with it. But there's a lot of other stuff out there too for now. So anyway, that's there. I have Streamlight ProTac Rail 1 up here on the front. I have the Aero Precision backup irons and the BCM vertical grip, the Strike Industries sail comp up here on the front, and it's the lower I have registered is a Spikes Tactical lower receiver. I have a lot of videos on stuff attached to this rifle here. Really like it. Side note, I do have a program now with Forge from Freedom. So if you want to buy a shirt like this one to let everyone know that 40 sucks, follow the link in the description. And I do get kickbacks from that, so it does help the channel if you do choose to purchase a shirt that way. And hopefully I will have my own branded shirts coming soon, but no guarantees on timeline for that. So let me know what you think. Do you like the Bad Lever? Do you not like the Magpul Bad Lever? Why not? Or if you have one of the alternatives out there, what do you think of it in comparison to the Bad Lever? And as I mentioned, this was a specific video requested by one of my patrons. So if you would like to have a direct line of contact like that to request specific videos, definitely follow me over on Patreon. It really does make a difference in what I'm able to do, as far as being able to fund producing videos for this channel, buy ammo, etc. As well as I post all my content there early. I post some exclusive content over there, and we do live streams, giveaways, and all that fun stuff. Like, for example, this little knife here that's going to be coming up for review soon. I'll be giving away one of those to my patrons once that video goes up. So if that's something that interests you, definitely check it out over there. But anyway, with all that said, as always, I hope you're able to get something out of this video, and I really appreciate you watching.